CIO Dimension's Innovation Talk. My name is Radhika, and I'm the Managing Editor for CIO Dimension. Joining us today on the show is Paolo Juvara. He's the Chief Digital Transformation Officer at Pure Storage and also the former CIO of Google Cloud. Paolo has earlier served as the CEO of OpenBravo, and he has had a long stint with Oracle, holding various leadership roles. Today, he will be talking to us about digital transformation, its complexities, and some finer points. Welcome, Paolo. So good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Radhika.
Great. So let's start off the conversation by, talking a bit about yourself, your background, and your current role at Pure Storage. I'm also keen to understand how is it really different from being a CIO?
Yeah, absolutely. So you cover a little bit of my professional background, but I think it's right from based on what you said is probably, I'm not sure if people could get the sense that my background is a bit unique in the sense that I didn't do a full career in IT. I started my career as a software developer in the enterprise application space. Then I had a little bit of an experience as an entrepreneur that led to be the CIO of OpenBravo. And then started leveraging all of those experiences into entering more operational roles, initially at Oracle, then at Google as CIO. And all of those things led me to the current role of Chief Digital Transformation Officer here at Pure Storage. Now, this role is quite interesting. It does encompass the CIO role. In fact, Pure Storage does have a CIO, and the CIO is part of my organization. So now we work very, very closely together. But digital transformation is beyond the traditional IT role of operating, implementing, and delivering technology for the business. Really, the digital transformation role really is about partnering with the company leaders, understanding the company strategy, and then leveraging technology to really support that company strategy. And so it's a bit of a nuanced role that bridges a lot of different disciplines. Now, in particular, in the case of Pure Storage, right? Pure Storage, perhaps your audience knows, is a leader in the storage technology space, and we have been disrupting the data center storage infrastructure space now for many years. We have disrupted initially with introducing the flash technology or solid state technology to the data center. We continue to disrupt it by improving the technology. We are the leader in the QLC space. We are the first and only company that really looks at storage as an innovation technology and as a platform that companies can leverage. And all of those technology and business innovations really need to be complemented by digital transformation that allow them to amplify their outcomes. And so you really cannot achieve your full business potential unless you leverage digital transformation. And that is my role here at Pure Storage.
Absolutely, great. And many technology leaders, Paolo, that I speak to here in India, kind of reiterate the fact that digital transformation is less about technology and a lot more about process and people. So I kind of want to understand your views on this, especially because we are living at a time when technology seems to be taking charge of pretty much everything. So we are talking that, digital transformation is not really too much about technology, and it is perhaps beyond all of that.
Yeah.
What are your views here on this?
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree. No, there is no question that digital transformation is about technology, right? Digital transformation is about leveraging technology, but you really cannot succeed unless you consider processes and people in addition to that. And I will say among the two, to me, the major emphasis is around people, even more than processes. Now, the way I see digital transformation for me really is that I can see two dimensions of digital transformation. There is a dimension that is about leveraging digital technologies to increase operational efficiencies, and so become increasingly better at what you're already doing and not the function that you already have. And then there is another aspect of perhaps digital transformation as innovation, which is about leveraging technologies to perhaps introduce new products, developing new channels, developing new revenue streams for the companies. In both cases, the human element is at the center. In the case of transformation as a way of improving your operations, in order to improve operations, yes, you need the processes, but you also need to have people that have full understanding of what the processes are, not what the current processes are, where the bottlenecks are, and how that technology can be leveraged to remove those bottlenecks. And if you do not involve the humans to begin with by understanding their needs, their challenges, then you're not going to be able to find the right bottlenecks. And so kind of engaging people is key to that. And similarly, when you go into the more innovation aspects of opening new revenue stream, developing new products, that is perhaps a more general product management functions, which is like understanding the markets, which means understanding your customers, having deep empathy for their needs, deep empathy for your partners that help you in your go-to-market efforts, and so again, there is about establishing very close relationship and putting the human and people at the center of all that. Without that, you're not going to be able to really make a difference.
That's really interesting, and I love the fact that you mentioned empathy. I also want to kind of understand that, as a head of IT function for a CIO and as a core technologist of the company, many CIOs perhaps find it challenging to look at the non-technology layers, which you mentioned people as, the human-centric element of all of that. That could be a challenge when you really drive a digital transformation, right? So as a former CIO and the current digital transformation officer, how do you really work this out at Pure Storage, the whole aspect of bringing non-technology elements together?
Well, I think my background helps, because having been in different roles really kind of allows me to empathize a bit more easily, because I've been in the shoes of sellers, I've been in the shoes of CEOs, I've been in the shoes of many of my stakeholders, and so it's relatively easily for me to empathize with them. But that is actually one of the things that I recommend to everybody in my team, and whenever somebody asks me for an advice on career advice on how to succeed both in IT and in digital transformation in general, that is always my advice. That is really focusing on broadening your set of experiences, because from one side you definitely need to have a very broad set of domain expertise and very set of knowledge and understanding of how companies work, and so it's kind of just specializing in a technology aspect is not sufficient. But also having by broadening your experiences, that makes it easier to really empathize with people. And so for me a significant portion of what I do is really developing the talent within my organization, within the company, but fundamentally principally within my organization. And that is one of the things that I emphasize a lot.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that your team also has to follow the same philosophy of having more people connect. So tell us about your team. So how do you really collaborate with other business teams and other functions? How does that work when you drive a project?
Absolutely. So my team is a bit unique in the kind of IT or digital technology space, in the sense that there is an IT component to it, which is I would say perhaps the traditional aspect that many companies have. There is a security element to it, so the CISO also reports into my organization, and that is particularly important for us, more so than many other companies, because given that we are a storage or a technology vendor and a storage vendor, we not only need to secure our own company and our own processes in our own enterprise, but we also need to secure the products that our customers use to house their data. And because we have a significant as a service functions, and we provide services in the cloud that our customers leverage for their own operations. We also need to secure the services that we operate, and so that aspect is quite unique and very important for us. And then I have an element of innovation that supports my kind of the aspects of opening new markets and generating new revenue streams for the company. Now, that aspect has what pushed me to set up a structure where there is in addition to technology delivery, there is also a core software engineering that is much more kind of a product orientation, and that software engineering is supported by a strong product management function. And the product management team really is, in my mind, is the core of the relationship with our users, with our customers, and with our stakeholders, because the product managers have by nature kind of the ability to establish relationships, and they are trained on understanding not only the processes but the challenges and developing the empathy that we were discussing before. So building this product management function has been, I would say, one of the key elements of what I've done in structuring the organization.
Okay, great. That's great. And Paolo, in fact, digital projects often, tend to focus more on doing better on the front-end business model, whereas the gaps in the back office often remain unaddressed. And as someone who touches the lives and jobs of both these set of users, both internal users as well as external customers, what has been your approach in filling this gap?
Yeah, so for me, there are really three major audiences, and they certainly there are the customers, the partner, or the external audiences that are perhaps the more glamorous aspects. They often covers the more glamorous aspects of digital transformation, right? What you will see in the published success. There is a second aspect that has become perhaps increasingly important in recent years, with shortage of talent in technology, and perhaps even more so at the time of the pandemics, or in the context of hybrid work, which is the general employee population. And so it's kind of providing compelling and productive experiences for employees is a very, very important element of digital transformation. And then there is the third aspect that perhaps is what you were referring to, which is kind of all the back office functions. And in my mind, there is no question that is perhaps the foundation of everything else. When a company at perhaps at the stage of Pure Storage, we are over a decade old. We are now 14 years old as a company. We have been growing very, very rapidly. We have over 5,000 employees, and so we are getting to the point where we are no longer a small and medium business. We are a large organization. And as the organization grows in revenues and employees, in sophistication of the process, in sophistication of the product portfolio and the go-to-market strategy that portfolio requires, all of that generates a lot of operational complexity that, if not addressed, starts becoming a bottleneck for the scalability and the growth of the company. And so I would say perhaps maybe number one priority for my organization is really to focus on these back office processes, back office optimization, so that we can remove all of the internal friction that, if not addressed, will eventually become an impediment to our growth, and instead transforming what will otherwise be, I would say, operational challenges in opportunities that become a competitive advantage, right? We can grow faster than our competition, in part, if we are more operationally efficient than them.
Mm-hmm. So do you think the back office would be the starting point for a transformation project?
The back office is often the starting point for transformation processes or projects. And I think is right. Needs to be complemented with the employee experience and needs to be complemented with the customer and partner experience as well.
Yeah. Now the most fascinating topic, which is AI. AI is everywhere, and as someone rightly said, AI is a new electricity, right? Could you talk a bit about how AI and specifically generative AI will power the next phase of DX and software? Some of the new use cases and opportunities that you think of.
Yeah. So AI is now an established, I would say it's an established technology as AI in general. And AI and machine learning, we have been, is part of the general toolbox, I would say, of digital transformation at this point. At Pure Storage, for example, we have a lot of data that we are collecting to telemetry, into sensors about how our customers are using our products. And we use machine learning for many purposes, from preventive maintenance to automated incident resolutions to all of those scenarios. And we have been doing that for a number of years. And similarly, for a number of years, we have been using AI for accelerating some of the go-to-market approaches, like ML-based lead scoring and things like that. So that, I would say, that aspect of AI is now very well established, is mainstream, certainly is still a competitive advantage, is still innovative, but is not, right, is mainstream. Generative AI as a sub-branch of AI is definitely new, and I would say we are still in the experimentation phase. There is a lot of potential there, but we do not yet know how to fully realize that potential. There are some obvious use cases that we at Pure Storage are experimenting with, that are, right, for example, assisted coding for our engineers. It's just kind of using the Copilot technologies to automate some of the software engineering activities. Leveraging generative AI in chatbots for customer support or even for help desk, and so automated ticketing resolution and case resolution. Leveraging generative AI to automate the generation, or at least the draft generation of some of the marketing collaterals, documentations, and content that we use for our customers, for our sellers, for our partners. So all of those are use cases that where we already are leveraging generative AI. But I would say we're just scratching the surface. And so I think that in the case of generative AI, to me, experimentation is the key at this point. And so, for example, in the case of my organization, we're starting hackathons to kind of start to crowdsource ideas on what is the best way to leverage generative AI. It's kind of interesting because the technology is moving very, very fast, and just a few months ago, it was the technical feasibility of leveraging generative AI was the challenge. And just in the space of a few months, I would say the technical feasibility is no longer the problem. It's actually very easy to deploy generative AI, but right, what are the business benefits is where the challenge is at the moment, right? What is the potential? What can you achieve with it? And that is where we are experimenting on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of organizations could be on a wait and watch mode, because it's more like a double-edged sword, right? It comes with its own concerns and risk and other things that we are not able to address at this stage.
Absolutely. I quite frankly, I would advise against kind of waiting. I think is kind of, I would perhaps classify that more as a proceed with caution. Right? There are definitely risks with the technology, risks around intellectual property, and risks around kind of like unintended consequences. But I think that there is also a big risk with inaction there, and so I would encourage my peers to kind of proceed with caution, but proceed.
Absolutely. And Paolo, back to digital transformation, and we've heard organizations talking about the varying success rates of digital initiatives, right? And typically the yardstick of a successful DX is its impact on revenue, cost saving, and other business outcomes. But interestingly, those matrices are now being influenced by a broader set of goals that go beyond the immediate commercial success for an organization. For example, areas like environmental sustainability and the overall human well-being and all of that. I want to understand how at Pure Storage are you really aligning your digital goals with the larger goals like this?
Yeah. So this is, let me kind of give you perhaps an initial generic answer around the success of digital transformation, and then kind of perhaps address the ESG component later. To me, this revenue is not the only yardstick. I think it's not. You correctly say business outcomes is the yardstick. I think is one. No, you often see stats saying not 70% of digital transformations fail. Now, is interesting. No, it's questionable whether 70% is correct or not. I'm not entirely sure if I really trust that number, but there is clearly in my mind the number one reason why digital transformation fail when they fail is because the business outcome wasn't very, very clearly defined, or the intended business outcome wasn't very clearly defined to begin with. Yeah. And so it's kind of a focus of having clarity of what the business outcomes are for digital transformation is absolutely important. And that business outcomes is not always revenue. It could be customer satisfaction, it could be speed of business, it could be employee satisfaction. And one of the potential, now tying back to your question on ESG, one of the potential important business outcomes of digital transformation is improvements in ESG. For Pure Storage, ESG is a very important element. One of the core value propositions, or perhaps one of our core differentiators compared to the rest of the industry, is that because we have a technology that is so much better and so much simpler than our competitors, we deliver significant environmental benefits. Environmental benefits in terms of energy consumption, where we consume significant, up to 80% less than our competitors in terms of energy, in space reduction, and in waste reduction, because our evergreen technology significantly reduces waste. And so now that aspect is at the core of what Pure Storage is about. And therefore, is often a very important yardstick for us in terms of one of the business outcomes that we aim for. Improving ESG from an environmental standpoint, from a governance standpoint, from a responsibility standpoint as well. Now, all of those go into improvements in technology, but also improvements in our internal processes. Including things that affect our products, but also things that affect how we consume our vendors' products, and so selections of suppliers that meet our expectations, both from an environmental and a social responsibility standpoint. And then, of course, the elements of governance, I would say, improving governance is often one of the major business outcomes, in particular when we talk about those internal back office optimizations or back office operations that we mentioned before.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And lastly, Paolo, I would like to hear about some of the key digital initiatives that you've been driving within Pure, and something that you're really, really passionate about. Something that comes to your mind.
Yes, for me, kind of one of the things that I'm very passionate about is changing the experience for our customers and for our partners, and it's something that Pure Storage is very keen to execute on. The experience of our partners is very important for us, because we are 100%. We are fully dedicated to our partners. We are 100% channel-driven business, and so in order for us to support the continuous growth of our business, removing every friction point that we have with our partners is particularly important. So a very strong focus on improving the partner experience, improving the level of autonomy of our partners so that they can take our technology to market and they can reach a broader set of customers than what we are able to reach on our own is very important to me and something that I'm very, very passionate about.
That's great. And thank you so much, Paolo. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you, Radhika.